All right. So, review of the chapter 1 test. That's next Tuesday. That's today. Next Tuesday on the 8th, 10 o'clock. Homework is due. I'll go over the assignment sheet again real quick, but follow directions. Show up with it ready to turn in. Make sure your name, first and last name, is on it. Make sure it's in order. Each section in order. Stapled together with the assignment sheet as a cover sheet, and it's filled out. Again, I'll go over that in a minute. But we're not starting the test until I have all the homework. And I will go through the homeworks before I start the test, making sure that it's been filled out and your names are on it. Okay? And then the test, be on time. Minus 10% if you're late. So the test is 124 points. Minus 12 points if you're late. Pencil only. Take off 5 points if you don't do it in pencil. It's over at 11:50. Take off 10 points if I don't have it by 11:50. Real calculator, check your battery. I don't have batteries to lend you. I don't have calculators to lend you. Don't rely on somebody else. No notes and no scratch paper. You have straight edge, pencil, calculator, and that's you. Bonus problems. There are no bonus problems on the test. The reason why I did that is because I don't want you stressing out about how much time you have left. No matter what. I give you 4 hours on this test if you're going to stress out about time. Okay. People stress. It's just like the review. If you practice, you're ready. If you practice, what are you doing? Directions are the same. Try to make it try to make it so there's no surprises. But if you ever say these words towards the rest of the semester, can I still pass the class? What do I need to do? Well, guess what? Did you do the bonus questions that were available to you? Maybe did you do all your homework? Because you get to score your own homework and you turn it. Those kinds of things. Just like, don't ask me whether it's always about you. So the bonus problems. During office hours only. Hours start with an H. So office hours. Oh, I wonder when they are. Oh yeah. Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 8:20. And then Tuesday and Thursday, right after class, not at 11:50, but at 12 p.m. to 12:50. Okay. And you have from October 9th. So Wednesday, October 9th to the 16th. Basically have a week. So any office hour during Wednesday the 9th to Wednesday the 16th. I'll have I don't know. I haven't even made the bonus questions up yet, so I don't know. I mean, don't show up at 7:15 or 8:15 and expect to get 50 minutes. It ends at 8:20. This ends at 12:50. Good news for you. You guys have yours right after class. You know, Monday, Wednesday, they have to be here at 7:30 unless they have Tuesday, Thursday, and they're on campus and they can come in here. Okay. But that's when chapter one, and what I'm going to do is when I grade your test, okay, I have your test score, and then I'll grade the bonus questions and add that to your overall test, the raw score out of 124. And there you go, your overall test percentage, and that's what goes into your grade. Okay. Any questions about that?
So just to reiterate, the bonus questions are only during those times.
During office hours from Wednesday to Wednesday. Not mandatory. Not mandatory. Okay. Don't come in and just say, can I try? And then, you know, you turn it into a blank page and I'm supposed to don't waste your time, don't waste my time. Come in and try. Come in and actually do. Because you're going to see some examples. I'm going to show you. Promise. Okay. Now there. Let's match it up between the review sheet and the test. How many of each kind? First of all, just real quick, looking at the review sheet, the first two problems, find the slope, find the slope. You're not going to do just find the slope. Comparison starts with questions 3 and 4. And number 3, 4 on the review. You're going to have one of them. And then 5 and 6 on the review. You're going to have one of them. See, you can't do a problem like 5 and 6 unless you can find slope. So questions 1 and 2 are embedded in question 5 and 6. Numbers 7 through 10, the graphing, the matching, basically the multiple choice, multiple choice. So number 7 through 10, you got one of each, so there's 4. For them. And then 11 and 12. You have a picture of a function, either f or the g, and then you're supposed to graph the picture of the transformation that happens to it. Horizontal shift, vertical shift, is it flip, those kinds of things. So from numbers 11 and 12, you're only going to have one. And straight up and honest with you, the picture that you have for your test is either it's going to look very similar to those two pictures. 3 segments. 3 segments. So you just have to find the ordered pairs and plot the ordered pairs for 4 points in order to make 3 segments. One other thing. I can't decide, do I want to be focused over here or over here? These two graphs, you have to do three things. There's a reflection across the x-axis because it's negative. There's a horizontal shift because we have an h in there with x, and there's a vertical shift. Same thing here. There's a reflection across the x-axis, there's a horizontal shift, and there's a vertical shift. On your test, you're only going to have two things. So maybe it is a reflection across the x and a vertical shift. Or maybe it's a reflection across the x and a horizontal shift. Or maybe it's just a horizontal and a vertical shift, but no reflection. So only got to worry about two things. Okay. Thirteen, 14. Yeah, one of those. Where is it increasing? Where is it decreasing? Make sure we're increasing. Decreasing. Okay. You have to write your answer using interval notation. And numbers 15 through 19, you have operations with functions and composition of functions. Actually, 15 through 19 is just operations. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So 15 through 19, you're going to have 5. So what that means to you is this. Number 15, you're going to have one like that. Where it's either going to be, a function plus a function of a number or a function minus a function of a number. Plug in a number and you're going to add or subtract. And then, same deal, add or subtract, but it's going to be with an x. So you got to do, substitute a number, substitute with x. 17 is now multiplication. So 17, g times f of 10, so it's numerical. F times h with a -5, numerical. And then 18, you got to do it with an x. So you got to do one with a number, addition, subtraction with an x, multiplication with a number, multiplication in terms of x, and then division with a number. The three things I have to see when you do this. I have to see the rewrite. So if I see f plus h of x, the first thing I don't want to see the answer. I want to see the rewrite. What is f of x plus h of x? I want to see that rewritten. What does it mean? What does this mean? I want to see g of 10 times f of 10. I want to see that rewritten. Then you do the substitution, then you simplify and repeat if necessary. Those are the steps I have to see. Number 20, A and B. There's 2. And 20, C, D, and E. The rest of 20. There's 2. So 20 is dealing with the composition of functions. So you're going to have 2 problems where you have to plug in numbers. Okay, F circle G of a number, G circle H of a number. Maybe it's F circle H, H circle F. I do whatever, because it's going to do with a number. I have to see the rerun. So the first thing you have to show me if you were doing 20B, I would want to see what is G of H of -5. I want to see that rewritten. Then you substitute, then you simplify it, and then you repeat if necessary. Which, since it's a composite function, yeah, you'd have to repeat. You take that answer, plug it back into the outer function. So 2 with a number, and then 2 using variables. Okay. 21 is bonus line. Is from the bonus list. Left. 22B and 23. 22B, 20. One like that. Because 22A is just what we already did up here with C and D, and a little bit like E. But B, in terms of an x plus 2, in terms of a 5x minus, something a little more challenging. And then number 24, you're going to have 2. So that is 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 13, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 problems. Every question is worth 6 points unless otherwise noted. Comes out to 124 points. That's how it matches up. No surprises. Since it's going to be on the test, I just told it. Did you do well? Don't tell me did you do one life because you got to tell me exactly what you want to say. That's all right. There you go. You put it on YouTube for the world. I think there's somebody like Canada who knows.
I have a question.
Yeah, sir.
Number 21. I should write it down because I had to go one by one and just scratch up the B, scratch up the F, scratch up the B.
Well, how many G's?
4.
Okay, so I'm going to keep start with G, and then I'm going to go G, F, E, F, until I get to 14. And then my phone works. Oh, 5G. Well, tell me what you want to see. So let's start now. What do you want to see?
Well, I wrote it down. When you do the parentheses, I wrote
Tell me which number you want to see.
21.
All right, let's start there. So f of x -6x plus 3. And g of x is 9 minus x squared. And what we want is what is G circle F circle G circle F circle G circle F circle G of -3. Right. First bit, I want you to rewrite. So going from left to right, the outer function is G. So G of, and inside that is F. F of, and then inside that we have G. Of, and then inside that we have F. And inside that we have G. And inside that we have F. And inside that we have G. 1, 2, 3, 4 G. 3 Fs. So inside that G, we're plugging in -3. Green. Just trying to stay color coordinated. You're not going to do color coordination. You know what you can do? I would count. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, left hand parentheses. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right hand side parentheses. And I get just rewrite it. That's all I did was rewrite it in terms of composite functions. Where do we start?
Right? Three.
Inside, yeah. That's the only thing I know I can do is I can plug in -3 into the G. So when we unravel this thing, we're going to plug something into this G. What are we plugging in? F of whatever that is. So we got to figure out F of this. So we got to figure out G of this, which means we got to figure out F of that, which is G. You got to start in here. When you have a composite function, you start on the inside. Order of operations, you always start on the end. You don't watch the camera, I'm not. Look at the screen. Is that better? I think that's as good as we're going to get. Green's not showing up. So we're going to start with the only number we know to plug into is -3 going into G. Whatever goes into G, it's 9 minus that thing's free. So down here, I'm going to go, all right, what is G of -3? 9 minus x squared, so that is 9 minus parentheses, -3 is going to get squared. So G of -3 is equal to 9 minus, what's -3 squared?
9. Okay.
Positive 9. And what's 9 minus 9? 0. So this is 0. And then we plug it into the next function to the left. We take that and we plug that answer goes into the F function, and we're going to do F of 0. In the F function, it's -6x plus 3. So if I plug in 0, I get -6 times 0, and then plus 3. So we get F of 0 is equal to 0 plus 3, and 0 plus 3 is, we get 3. This is now a 3. This right here, that equals a 3. So now I'm going to take this 3 and plug it into the next function, which is G. So that 3 is going to go into this G. 3 goes in, we get 9 minus 3 squared. What's G of 3 going to be?
Right.
9 minus 9, so G of 3 is going to equal. So what do you see happen?
Is that gonna be like a pattern?
Absolutely. Which means I don't expect you to do the whole freaking thing. Once you see the pattern, because 3s are going to keep turning this, G of any kind of thing, positive or negative, that's going to be 0. And if that's a 0 and I go in here, -6 times 0 plus 3, that's going to be a 3. And as long as, I don't mess with you and go, hey, G, circle left, circle G, circle left, circle left, circle left, circle G, circle, like change it up. I'm not going to do that. The reason why I'm asking this question, to see who looks at it and just runs away and hides. Who doesn't even try. Once you establish a pattern, you got to show me there's a pattern. What's the last thing you're going to plug into?
0.
So I'm going to plug something into G, and what happens when we plug something into G, we're going to get
0.
So the whole thing's going to equal 0. Now, if it was this, then the last thing we're plugging into is F. What happens if you plug something, the last thing F, we'd end up with 3. If F was the output. Okay. But it's just establishing a pattern. I don't expect you to do all of them. Because there will be a pattern. Because that would be a royal table. I didn't show them that have a pattern.
I just didn't know how to do the rewrite.
Oh, this right here?
Yeah.
From left to right, on the outside is G, then F, yeah. Everybody's in a parentheses.
We start and end with 0. How is it possible?
No, I put F on the outside now. If it started with F, then we
Okay.
plug in F as our last function, and it comes out with 3.
Okay.
That's what I wanted.
20.
20. All of it?
Yeah.
So because we're going to use it for basically number 15 through 20, I'm just going to write these 3 functions over here on the left, the F, G, and H. So for numbers 15 through 20, F of X is equal to 2x plus 1. G of X is equal to 3x minus 2. And H of X is equal to x minus 3 squared. And I want to make sure I mention this because I don't think I did. Any of you who are, if you're not in the co-rec, you're always welcome to come to the co-rec. Next, on Monday, if you're on campus Monday, before their test Monday at 10, I'll be reviewing with them. Tuesday, before the test, the co-rec at 8:30, we'll be reviewing for the test. So if you're on campus and you want to come in, just either ask questions, let them ask their questions first, but, or just watch. It's up to you. But you're always welcome to come in. Okay. 20A. We want S circle G for 0. B. We want G circle H. -5. C. H down. X. First, we're going to rewrite it. Put one function inside the other. Substitute simplify. So this one, the outer function is F. And inside that one, next is G. And inside G, we're going to plug in 0. So that's the rewrite. Gotta see that. And then you start on the inside. We're going to plug something in F function. We're going to plug in G of 0. So we got to figure out what does G of 0 equal first. G of 0 is equal to. When you plug 0 into the G function, 3 times x minus 2 becomes 3 times 0 minus 2. So G of 0 is 0 minus 2. So that G of 0 is a -2. This right here is now f of -2. F of substitute the -2. Now we plug -2 into the F function. Whatever goes in, it's 2 times x plus 1. So f of -2 is going to be 2 times that -2 and then plus 1. So -4 plus 1, -3. On the test, in the little test box, at the bottom, it's going to say, what is L circle G of 0? Your final answer needs to be written down here. If you don't put your answer in that little space that's provided, you'll lose a point. That way I find your answer easily and then I check your work. Substitute simplify. And then on 20B, start over. Different functions, so you start over, you rewrite. The outer function is G. And inside the G function, we're going to substitute H of -5. So from left to right, G of H, and then of -5. And the only thing you have that you can work with is what is this H of -5? You do the inside first. -5 goes into H. Whatever goes in, parentheses, you take away 3 and then you square the answer. So when I plug in the -5, it's going to be in the parentheses. -5 goes in. You're going to take away 3 and then we're going to square it. -5 goes in. We take away the 3 and then we're going to square it. So inside the parentheses, what is -5 minus 3? -8. So H of -5 is equal to parentheses -8. And then we square. So what do we get?
+64.
Positive 64. And I'm just being, I think the political word is transparent. Transparency here with what I'm looking for. If you don't have parentheses around this -8 and you put +64, I'm taking off the point because that's impossible. Without the parentheses, it does not equal +64. I know what you think it did, but what you wrote is not correct. It doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. Think of it like I'm correcting your spelling. Spelling counts. No matter what, spelling should count. Especially these days when you have your speaking phone correcting your spelling all the time and people still misspell words. You almost don't even have to know how to spell anymore. And we still misspell words. Now, you can't do it in math. Because a computer or a phone is just going to give you the answer for what you type in. If you type this in, it's going to say -64. Has to be in a parenthesis. So we have +64. So now this becomes G of 64. So now we plug 64 into the G function. In the G function, 3 times x minus 2. So we're going to get 3 times that 64 and then minus 2. So that equals 3 times 64 is 192 minus 2, and that is 190. So at the bottom, G circle H of -5, 190. G circle F. Rewrite the outer function is the one on the left, G, and then inside that, we're going to substitute F of X. So you got to do the inside first. You got to figure out what is this F of X. Well, I don't know because it's an X. So F of X is this. That's all we know. When X goes in, this is the answer, 2x plus 1. So now we plug it in. This is going to be replaced with 2x plus 1. Rewrite, substitute. We get G of 2x plus 1. Which, this is what you did in the 1.3 quiz. You plug the algebraic expression into a function. Whatever goes into G, multiply by 3, and then you take away 2. So it's 3 times this x. It's going to be 3 times, use parentheses. It's equal to 3 times that 2x plus 1. Three times x and then minus 2. So that x is 2x plus 1. So distribute 6x. 3 times positive 1 is plus 3, and then minus 2. So it equals 6x is the only x's we have, and 3 minus 2 is plus 1. So part B, H circle G of X. So H is on the outside, inside of G of X. That's going to be H of, and the inside of that is going to be G of X. So you got to figure out G of X first. Now G of X is 3x minus. That is going to go right. And becomes H of 3x minus 2. Something like this, maybe you take a little extra step. Whatever goes into H, you subtract 3 and then you square it. So whatever I replace this X with, we're going to take away 3. So I'm going to put that right above. H of just X is parentheses X minus 3 and then we square it. Well, this is going to equal. This is now that X. This goes in for here. At 3x minus 2. And then you're going to subtract that 3. And then you square the whole thing. In terms of order of operations, what should I do next?
Put the 2 and the 3 together.
Yeah, simplify what's in time. Don't square that. You can still, clean this up in here. This is 3x minus 5, and then we're going to square it. Finite terms. Okay. And then we'll square that. And if you know what you're doing, you can go straight to that is 9x squared minus 30x plus 25. Or you FOIL it out. 3x minus 5 times 3x minus 5. So you can get 9x squared minus 15x minus another 15x. And then plus 25. And then 2 negative 15x's add up to negative 30x in the middle. That part is F circle G of a 3x. What's the outer function? F, and then what are we plugging into the F? G of 3x. Now we start with figuring out what G of 3x is. See, that's where I don't want you to be, get, commonplace. You get lazy. All the other ones, it was a G of x's or an H of x. So it was a real simple thing to plug in. just replaced it with exactly what G was. So you didn't have to do anything extra to it. So technically, I could have gone straight from this question and rewritten it as H of right here, because I know G of X is going to be this. I don't have to write this down below. G of X is just that. But here's why it's a good habit. It's not always going to be just a simple single X, the exact same thing. Case in point, I want to replace it with G of a 3X. So G of 3X. If 3X goes in for X, this becomes a 3X. There's this 3 times 3X, and then a minus 2. So G of 3X is 9X minus 2. That's just going to go here. F of that is now 9X minus 2. Any questions on that one? And it's always about number one, rewrite. What does this mean? It means F of G of that 3X. So we'll go figure out what that G of 3X is. G of 3X is 9X minus 2. So now we rewrite again. F of that 9X minus 2. So 9X minus 2 goes in here. So it's 2 times this 9X minus 2. And then a plus 1. So that gives us 18X minus 4. And then a plus 1. So 18X minus 3. So F circle G of 3X is equal to 18X minus 4. That's fine. That was all the point. That's
Number 11.
we're doing number 11. Yeah, number 11. I just need the picture. Fix it. So on number 11, we're going to do to this picture, G of X is negative F of X plus 3, and then a minus 2. But I was thinking a little clearer to work with. It's all about the ordered pairs. So first thing we do is I'll make a list of the ordered pairs from F of X. Go from left to right. It's -4, +1. This is X and F of X. And we have -1, 2. And we have 4, 2. And we have 8, -4. So now what we want are the X's and Y's that are on the G function. We want the X and the G of X's so we can graph this. So remember how the pieces work when you're doing graphing. Y is equal to A F of X minus H, and then you have a plus K. So here, what is the A going to, what is it equal? -1. So there's a flip. And the way you flip the graph across the x-axis is you're going to change the sign of the y value. To flip this up, you multiply this -4 times +4. To flip this down, you multiply 2 times -1, you get -2. You change the sign, you multiply by -1. That's why there's a negative there. So A is a -1, so there's a flip. H is the horizontal shift. If there is an H, it has to be in the parentheses with your X. The negative is already there. It's a built-in negative. So when you take out H for the horizontal shift, you're going to take out the opposite sign. So what is this H in here? -3. We're looking at X plus 3. So H is -3. The graph is going to go to the left 3 units. Now, don't ever look at that X plus 3 again. Think about the picture. When I graph the new picture, this -4 has to go over here 3 units. It's going to end up at -7. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. And then what is the K value? -2. You keep the sign. So that means all the y values are going to take away 2. So when we graph the new graph, we need ordered pairs. You need to plot and label all your new ordered pairs. So you need X's and Y's. So here's my advice of the day. Figure out your X's first. Your new X's are going to the left 3. They're going to be a shift to the left of 3. So if I look at my picture, this -4 is going to be ending up over here at -7. So this X coordinate is going to be a -7. Now let's go back to the actual numbers. What's H? So it's this -4, and then you subtract 3 because H is -3, I get -7. It's this -1, H is -3. Take away 3, I'm going to be at -4. It's this 4, take away 3, because it's going left 3. This is going to be a 1, and this is 8. This shift is to the left 3, take away 3. This X is a 5. And you can confirm that if I look at the picture. This 8, if I go to the left 3, it's going to be at, oh, sure enough, it's going to be a 5. Those are my X coordinates. I don't need the X's anymore. Now I just got to figure out the Y's. Here's what's going to happen to the Y value. It's going to get multiplied by a -1, because -1 times the Y value, and then you take away 2. Change the sign and take away 2. So here, This would flip from -4, it would flip up to +4. And then we would take away 2 and it would shift down here. So it would go up to +4 and then -2. -4 times -1, and then you take away 2. So +4 minus 2 is going to be a 2. And look where it ends up. It ends up right here at 2. Negative f of x. -4. I wrote it down wrong there. Negative times that -4, and you can take away 2. +4 minus 2, that's a 2. -7, okay. You have to label the points. Or to pair the -7 and +2. This 2, we're going to multiply by -1 times that 2, and then you take away 2. -2 minus 2. This y coordinate is -4. From -4 down 4. This is a 2. So -1 times that y value. And then we subtract 2. K is the -2. So again, -2 take away 2, we're at -4 again. 1. And then if I start at -4, -1 times that -4, and then you subtract 2. That's +4 minus 2, 2. 5, 2. Okay. Now, this will help you feel decent about the problem. I hope. When you graph this, you're going to connect the dots. Try to connect them in order in terms of x getting from smaller to bigger. That's -7, so you should connect to the next bigger x, which is the -4. Let's get over here. And then that's -4, so you're going to go to the next biggest x, which is 1. And then 1 goes to the side. And the graph that you make should be exactly the same shape, size as the one that we're transforming, that we're shifting left and right or flipping. Here's how you can tell. You see how these two are like straight across from each other? Well, then mine should be straight across from each other. Their y's are both at 2. And then right here, got a nice horizontal line between those two. Sure enough, I got a nice horizontal line and I connect the dots. That feels pretty good. And then one last thing you can check. This x is -4. That x is at 8. How far is it from -4 to 8? What's the distance? 12. This x is at -7. Over here, it's at 5. How far is it from -7 to 5? They should be the same width apart. This right here, that's -1. This is 4. From -1 to 4, what's this length? How far is it from -1 to 4?
5.
5. And so here, you're at -4. And this is at 1. And that length is also 5. Makes a lot of sense that I have to break the graph. How many segments was the original? 1, 2, 3. Better make sure I don't have 3. In the past, I've seen this question done. I get 4 segments over there. Or 2 segments, or I get some kind of W with it. I don't know. Because they don't know. Find the x's, find the y's, find the points, connect with all these. You want to see 10? Okay. Absolute value is a V shape. And the bad news is it's multiple choice. Well, that's the good news. The bad news is all of your choices are V shapes. So you can't eliminate something that's not a V shape. But it's this. It's all about y equals a f of x minus h and then a plus k. A determines whether it goes up or down, horizontal shift, vertical shift. So in terms of absolute value, y is equal to a absolute value of x minus h plus k. If a is positive, it opens up. If a is negative, a greater than 0. If a is less than 0, negative, it's going to flip down at that. Horizontal shift and vertical shift, what's nice about this is that the ordered pair, that's the vertex of the absolute value, which is that sharp corner. It's the sharp corner, that's the vertex. So what is A in this function? Positive 1, so it better open up. Oh, well, they're all open up. They're all going up. I didn't do any good. Inside, what is the H? It's a -2. Remember, that negative is always there in terms of X in the horizontal shift. So when you take out the horizontal shift, you take out that opposite sign. Because we see positive, the horizontal shift is a -2. And then after the absolute value, that's what K is, what's K? -3. So the vertex of this picture better be a -2, -3. 2 to the left and 3 down. There's the order. This went to the right and down, so that's not it. This went to the right and then up, so that's not it. This went to the left and down, but this one also went to the left and down. C and D both went to the left and down. Well, we've got to be 1, 2, 3 to the left, 1, 2 down. That's -3, -2, where this one went 1, 2 to the left and 1, 2, 3 down. This is -2, -3. The vertex was -2. There's that subtle difference. One quick way I could have also done this. You see where this point is versus this one. What's the ordered pair right there? 0, 1. Good. You plug in 0, we're supposed to get 1. Over here, it's what? 0, -1 because it's below the x-axis. So in other words, if I plug in 0, I'm supposed to get 1 or -1. Let's see which one it is. H of 0 is the absolute value of 0 plus 2 minus 3. Absolute value of 2 minus 3. What's 2 minus 3?
This one, you want us to write the formula too?
I'm just wanting A, B, or C. I'm not going to. There's no partial present. Multiple choice. Why give me my life hard? If you circle both, if you like circle 2 of them, the whole thing's wrong. I think I'll get an extra 8 points. If you leave it blank, it's going to be wrong. So why don't leave it blank? If you at least eliminate something, do some kind of educating. What else?
instead of
7. Seven is the parabola. Oh, no. Well, that's B. No, those are the answers. Nice Stanley report. Never mind something. Yeah, 13. I know what you ordered. Okay, 13 then 5. Okay, 13 and 14 are a little, they're not great. They're not great examples. What actually is going to work best is I'm going to, instead of 13, 14, I'm going to go to the homework where we did increasing and decreasing, which was 1.6, no, 1.4. Number 24. Yes. The reason why is because on number 13 and 14, they both change increasing versus decreasing at 0. So I'll tell you right now, your test question looks a lot more like number 24. Okay. Let's see if there's another one I can find. Now I have one. So 23. So on your test, it's going to say this. Using interval notation, where is the function increasing or decreasing? On what intervals? So at the bottom of the box, you'll say f of x is increasing on, and then f of x is decreasing. Because if I didn't put that at the bottom of the box, you would just write a couple of intervals. You wouldn't tell me which one was the increasing one or the decreasing. You just write a couple of intervals, and I'm supposed to guess which one was which. So where it's increasing, where it's decreasing. The intervals you're describing are the x values. Now, what values of x is the function increasing or decreasing? What determines whether it's increasing or decreasing is your y values. Are the y's getting bigger than the function increasing? Are the values getting smaller than the function is decreasing? When the y's get bigger, from left to right, it's increasing. When they go down, it's decreasing. But we want to know on what values of x is that they happen, or what values of x. So here's the thing. In this picture, what is the function doing? It's decreasing because those are going down. Now, this point right here is 2, -4. So it's decreasing. That means this down here. Until we get to 2 or until we get to -4.
Good.
It decreases from -infinity, parentheses, until we get to +2. The y value, the minimum is -4, but for what values of x, it's going to decrease. This picture is going to decrease for every single x that we go from left to right from all of these until we get to 2. When we get to 2, it changes to increase. So when we're answering this question, on what interval, we're talking about the x-axis. For what values of x is the function increasing or decreasing? The y's tell us what it's doing, but we want to know on what values of x. So we want to know when stocks do what? When stocks go up. When they go up. That's all we really care about is when they go up. We kind of want to know how high they go, but that's a y value. We want to know what period of time they go up. That's the x-axis. That's the interval we're trying to describe. For what value of time, for what value of x are they increasing? They increase, but they're decreasing from -infinity until we get to here where it bottoms out. And then from that 2 to infinity, it keeps going up. And it's parentheses. Because they're open intervals. You can't put a bracket on the 2. You can't do this. Okay, I can't even do it. I can't learn to do it. Because if I put a bracket on the 2, you're telling me that it increases and decreases at 2. They can't do 2 different things at one number. So it decreases and increases all the way just up to 2 and just past it. Okay. And then the other example I'm going to show you. No, I guess I can do this. Maybe this. No, they're not flipped. I'm just gonna draw it. I gave you a picture of that look right. As you go from left to right, what are we doing? It's increasing. As we go this way, these y values are going up until we get to what? The -3 on the x-axis. It increases from -infinity to -3. And then at -3, it starts to go down. So from -3 to +infinity, that's decreasing. The 5 doesn't matter. That would just be what the value of the maximum would be. We want to know for what values of x. What? You said 5? 13, 14. And 5 with the equational line that goes through 12, negative 15, and 4, 5. First thing you have to do is to find the slope. So the slope, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So 5 minus negative 15 all over 4 minus 12. So this is 5 plus 15 over negative 8. We have a positive 20 over negative 8. Reduce it, always reduce it before you start figuring out the rest. What's common factor for 28? 4. So the slope, we're going to have a negative. This is 4 times 5 over 4 times 2. The slope is negative 5 over 2. Now find slope. Yeah, 2. Is it a special case? Nope, because it's not 0, it's not undefined. No, we go step 3. Since it's not a special case, this is even in the problem. It's part of the question. Find the equation in a line and slope in a step form, which means any y equals mx plus b. And we just found m. Plug it in, negative 5 over 2 times x. We got to figure out b. And to figure out b, plug in an ordered pair for x and y. So pick one of those ordered pairs that you can plug in for x and y.
4, 5.
4, 5. So if I use this 4, 5, I'm going to let x equal 4 and y equals 5. 5 equals negative 5 over 2 times x. X is going for the 4. And then you have to solve for b. Watch out for those signs. 5 equals negative 2 goes into 4 2 times. Negative 5 times 2, that's negative 10 plus b. Add 10 to both sides. And we get 15 equal b. So final answer, negative 5 over 2 times x plus 15. What else?
On number 6, you give us the answer negative 3, but I got 3. X equals 3.
What is the question? You see how the x's are negative 3's in the problem? How can it go through positive 3 if they're stacked right above negative 3's? Oh, listen. It's a vertical line at negative 3, not positive. Get an undefined slope. Did you get something over 0?
Yeah.
So it's undefined. So it's vertical. So it's x equals a constant. What is x equal?
3. Negative 3.
Negative 3. It's not x minus 8. We're not contracting. It's x equals whatever that x is.
All right.
You're saying that if the ordered pairs are at negative 3, negative 8, and negative 3, negative 5, so it's over here, there's the line. You're saying that this this drives everything here. Well, positive three's over here. These are all negative. Okay. I'm not gonna give you a special case. Which one? Well, that's just slope, and you're not gonna have to do slope, but for slope, well, you will have to. So y sub 2, y sub 1, x sub 2, x sub 1, negative 15 minus 7, negative 7, over 13 minus 1. So this becomes negative 15 plus 7 over 12. So that's equal to negative 8 over 12. So negative 4 times 2 over 4 times 3. Negative 2/3. Okay. Number 12. Number 12. G of x negative f of x minus 1, and then take 1. So you've got to adjust our order pairs. So this picture, order pair, actually, let's just do this, find A, H, and K. What's the A over here? Negative 1. What's H? Positive 1, because it's x minus H. H is opposite sign, positive 1. And K is equal to negative 2. So we're gonna flip it. We're gonna shift it one to the right, positive one, and then shift down two. So these order pairs we have -2, 4, 0, 3, 1, 0, and then 3, -1. And then that's our x, f of x, x g of x. Don't overthink the horizontal shift. It's going one to the right. So if this is -2 and you're going to go one to the right, where are you going to end up? You're going to end up at -1. And if you want to just do it that way from the picture, you're going to go one to the right, you're going to go one to the right, you're going to go one to the right, you're going to go one to the right. Do it. Well, what's happening over here is -2, we're going to add 1. We're going to get -1. 0, we're going to add 1. We're going to get 1. 1, we're going to add 1 to go to the right. This will be a 2. And then 3 is going to go 1 to the right. So we're going to take this 3. We're going to add 1, and this will be a 4. So those are the x coordinates for the picture that I'm going to make. And now I need the y's. Here's what's happening on the y. It's going to flip, and then we're going to shift it down 2. If this was plus, it would flip, and you move it up 2. Whatever, you do the flip first, and then you do the adding or subtracting in the k. Watch this, you just watch it happen with one of these order pairs. This k value, this 4, this y value, times -1 would make it a -4. And then you move it down 2 more. So flip down to -4. And then you take away 2 and you shove it down to -6. So you're going to take this y value, -1 times that 4, and then you take away 2. -4 minus 2, that's going to be a -6. Label. You don't label, you lose points. Audit label. This y value 3 is going to get multiplied by the -1 here. And then you take away your 2. So -3, you take away 2. This is going to be at -5. Zero is always nice to do. So we're going to take -1 times 0, and then we take away 2. That's just 0 minus 2. So it's going to be a 2 -2. And this -1 is going to get multiplied by a negative, so it's going to flip. And then we take away 2 more. And -1 times -1, +1 minus 2. So 1 minus 2 is going to do -1. I should have 3 little line segments, just like this had 3 segments. That has 3 segments. How can I, compare? Look at the slope. This went down 1, 4 to a 3, down 1 over 2. Over here, because it got flipped, it's going to go up 1 over 2. Okay. Then it went down 3 over 1. This one from here went up 3 over 1. Everything's got to be in the same kind of shape. Just flipped and shifted. No. Number three?
Yeah.
Note the slope and the y-intercept. We have negative 7x plus 5y equals 35. So at the bottom of the box, what is the slope? What is the y-intercept? Well, to get those things, you have a really good hint right in front of your nose on the test, same as you have on the review sheet. Question number 5. Question number 6. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So if you can solve for y, you're going to be able to find the y-intercept and the slope. Solve for y. So we got to take 7x to the right, you know, add 7x to both sides. We like the x before the constant, so when you rewrite this right-hand side, you have 5y, it's positive 7x, and then a positive 35. And then divide each term to undo 5 times y. Each term gets divided by 5, and then simplify. This is y equals 7 over 5 times x, and then plus 35 divided by 5 is 7. So the slope is 7 over 5, and the y-intercept is 7.
I don't know if you did this one, 1, 4, E. Okay, you did it.
Well, I did it in the co-rec, we do it here.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Right in the problem, it gives you a big hint. Order pairs. And everything I told you earlier about numbers 15 through 19 and 20, I got to see the rewrite. So 24E, you want F inverse of G inverse of 3. We want F inverse circle G inverse of 3. So it's about the rewrite. So the rewrite, the outer function is F inverse. F inverse on the outside. And then inside that is going to be G inverse. The inverse of the G function. And inside that, we're going to plug in 3. So you have to figure out what is G inverse of 3 first. Inverse functions undo each other. Inverse functions switch x's and y's. So I only have a picture of f of x and of g of x. So the inverse function of g, the inverse function, would be all of these ordered pairs switch. So for instance, right here, -5, negative. On the inverse function, x and g inverse of x, it would be -4, -5. Right here is 3, -2. -3, -2. On the inverse function, switch to a pair. It would be -2, -3. And so on. I want to put a positive 3 into the inverse function. That means I need g of x when this is a 3. When I have 2, 3 on the g function, then on the inverse, it's 3, 2. Which are better. So that means g inverse of 3 is equal to 2. And now I know what's in here. This is a 2. And we want f inverse of 2 now. So that means if I'm going to plug 2 into the inverse function, I can only do that thing where right here, this is left to right. This first one is -4, 4. So if it was x and f inverse of x, it would switch up at 4, -4. This one right here, don't forget, that is 0, 2. So over here, when you switch to our pairs, it's going to be 2, 0. This right here is 1/2, 0. So on the inverse, it would be 0 and 1/2. You switch right there. What I want to do is put a 2 into the inverse. Well, when 2 goes into the inverse function, 0 comes out. So if you make your list of ordered pairs, and the only place you're going to see this type of question is the last question. There's 2 questions where I give you a picture like this, and you're going to do something like that. If you list the ordered pairs that you're given, and then go ahead and right next to it, here's the ordered pairs that would be on the inverse. You know what you're working with. All right. Please remember, there's no late homework. You don't have your homework with you on Tuesday. I'm not going to take it Wednesday or later. Turn in what you got.
It's over there on the desk.